Hello, this is Black Mirai, and I've decided to post a video about how I've been playing destroyers in the current live test submarine battle mode. Posted a few videos before, but this is the first one that I'm doing with a voice commentary, and so we'll see how that goes. So I've been noticing that in the sub battles, everybody focuses on taking out the ships with the anti-sub capabilities, and at the end of the game it's pretty common to have then no such ships left in the game, and the game turns into submarines chasing the other ships around, or submarines fighting submarines in fish fights. I have decided on a strategy when I play destroyers in the sub battles that it is then a really good idea for me to just try to stay alive to the end. We can get to the end of the game and the subs are chasing the other ships around and the subs are fighting each other, but I'm also in the game with my destroyer. Then my team seems to have a very large advantage at that point. So rather than going forward and being really aggressive in my destroyers and risking getting myself knocked out of the game early along with all the other anti-sub ships, I started to play very cautiously with my destroyer at the beginning. The whole goal being, like I said, just to be alive later in the game. So this is a pretty good example of how I've done that. And I think there are players out there who do not like it when they see me doing this. I'm certainly not doing some of the things that people want destroyers to be doing early in the game. I'm not contesting caps, not going out and doing a whole lot of spotting. And in the sub games, destroyers, as soon as the submarines get spotted, some destroyers like to go charging forward and try to take those subs out right away and expose themselves to a lot of enemy fire early in the game. I just won't do that. I prefer to be very cautious. I pick my moments to try to go forward and go after the subs. You'll see in this game, I really am really cautious for a big chunk of the game. Even to the point at times of allowing enemy subs to attack my friendly surface ships near me without really doing anything to counter the subs. And I know, again, teammates have gotten upset at me about that. But I just feel that, for example, protecting a battleship early in the game from a sub only to get myself killed is not a good play. It's not a good trade-off. I would rather lose the battleship and have the sub around for later in the game. And so, again, I'm not saying this is the right way to play as a destroyer in a sub battle or the best way. This is what I've been doing, and I feel like it's been working for me, so this is what I'm doing. So you can see here, I'm in my Farragut, and I'm using this island. I've laid some smoke, and right now I'm just kind of hanging out and using my guns to provide some supporting fire to some of my friendly ships in the area. You'll see some of them go forward and get themselves killed, and I'm really not doing a whole lot to help them other than providing some supporting fire, but that's just the tactic that I've decided is the best play to make right now in these sub battles. You probably just saw it. There's a sub right in front of me here in the cap there. My teammates are exposed to it, but again, I'm not going forward right now to try to take that sub out. I think it would have put me in the line of too much fire to risk my destroyer at this point in the game. So I'm just hanging out behind the island and using cover and smoke to allow myself to deal as much damage as I can while preserving my ship. And you can see, if you've been watching this carefully, you probably saw already my marksmanship is not very good, and that's like I was saying, I'm not a great player. I just do the best with the skills I have, which are not always the greatest. So I guess one other thing I can comment on here is that this particular play style that I've adopted works well in these kind of sub battles here when there's no CV. When there is a CV, it can be a lot harder to do this because obviously the planes can find you and attack you. It's a lot harder to preserve your ship because if the CVs come after you and focus on your destroyer. So again, you have to pick your battles or pick your spots a little bit, and I will tend to be more aggressive if there's a CV in the game. For example, I might have gone after that sub that was spotted earlier that was so close to me if there was a CV in this game, because the mentality shifts a little bit more to I want to take one of the subs with me, because if you can manage to do that, that is often about as good a result as you can hope for in a destroyer if there's a CV out there. It's really hard to just preserve your ship to the end of the game. And even if you do, at some point that CV is going to turn their attention to you, and it's really hard to hunt the subs even at the end of the game when their CV is still around. So that does modify this. Anyways, here you can see we're trying to take out this destroyer. You can see how bad my marksmanship really can be. You can also notice how he's sitting in the smoke, but our submarine is doing a great job of getting close to him and still being able to spot him. And this is a adjustment destroyer commanders have had to make. That you're not so safe sitting in smoke nowadays with the submarines cruising around. Our sub did a great job of helping us to spot that guy. We take him out. That was one human played destroyer on the enemy team, and so we've got a pretty big advantage here. You can see the game is kind of close in terms of ships and points, but from this point on, they've got no destroyers, and we've actually somehow got two. My bot teammate in his Nevni is somehow still alive, and from this point, you'll see just how easily my team cleans this up. The subs, go after the surface ships, and I'm about to go hunting their subs, and you'll see how I'm able to take out both of their submarines in just a few minutes.
Our team has taken the lead.
I mean, it's really unusual that Nevni is still alive on my team bot. You would frequently see at this point in the game where, as you can see, their team's got no destroyers left. We happen to have the two of us, but if our two destroyers weren't alive right now, this game would be very different. But here we go. Here's one of the subs. You see how I slow down as he passes under me. Really drop my charger right on top of him. There's the other sub. I was debating going well after this one right here because that battleship is getting really close here, but I decided that, hey, I've got a lot of hit points left. I was cautious. I was able to preserve a lot of my hit points from the beginning of the game. This also gives me an opportunity to maybe launch my torps at that battleship, and there's subs right here, so I thought I would go for it. Off here, and again, this is another example. Maybe my skill is not as great as it could be. From this range, I think I only get 2 torpedo hits, but I did hit him, brought him down. I think our sub will finish him off while I continue to try to take out their sub. And so here you can also see that I did kind of mess up my depth charge run at this sub to line up that torpedo run at the battleship. So I didn't quite get these depth charges off at the spot that I probably would have wanted to initially. And as a result, I ended up having to do this little bit of a circling game with him for a little while until one of our friendly subs comes over and I think causes him to break off. And then I'm able to line up another depth charge run and take this guy out. But you can kind of see here how, you know, this game could be very different if I wasn't in the game with my destroyer. You know, if there were just the battleships and the subs left in this game, even though we had a little bit of an advantage in total ships, you know, they could easily have won. I've seen lots of games in which, you know, it turns into battleships and subs, and it's, you know, it's kind of a crapshoot at times. And, you know, being the side that has a destroyer left at the end of the game is a big advantage. I don't know if you just noticed that the Nevny actually shot me. The bots have a habit of doing that. That sub was deep. There's no way to hit him with your guns, but the Nevny shot at him anyways. And as I was making my depth charge run over the sub, he actually hit me. You know, again, fortunately, I've got lots of hit points, but something to keep in mind if you're down to your last little bit of hit points and there's a bot nearby shooting at the sub, making a depth charge run could actually be dangerous. Anyways, you know, that's kind of it. This game is pretty much over. You can see how the end of the game was very different from a lot of the battleship and sub fights that have been ending up. This is why I've been trying so hard to keep my destroyers alive till the end of the game. Thank you for watching, and look for more videos from me. Be cool.